welcome everyone. We're talking about imposter syndrome and head trash. This is something that I've dealt with a lot and overcome, and I feel really confident about my work and where I'm at. And so it's really exciting to be able to share my insight and my system for dealing with this. So feel free to raise your hand if you guys have questions. We're going to be doing questions at the end, but I will at least know that you are here. So welcome. In all of these chats that we do and all of these things, all of these rooms, we're going to be talking about business and marketing from a photographer's perspective. So if you are a photographer, a small business owner, or an entrepreneur of any kind, or even just a mom wanting to hang out and find your way, then you are welcome here. So welcome. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Kellyanne Jordan. I have been a wedding and portrait photographer for over 16 years. And I have learned the ups and downs of running a business, of having a family, and really keeping things in balance. So now I coach photographers and entrepreneurs on how to create businesses that delight their souls and that provide an actual income and allow them to have a profitable and happy life. So if this sounds like what you're looking for, then you are in the right place. So welcome. Okay, so today we are talking about imposter syndrome and head trash and how to get over them. So I want to start by talking about what these two things are. Okay, so imposter syndrome, it's when you feel like you're a phony, when you don't feel like you are a success in your own right. So it's when you show up to a photography session and you don't even know why they hired you. You're wondering like how you got there. You feel like you got there just by luck, okay? That's really what imposter syndrome is that it's that feeling. Head trash, on the other hand, is all those little voices in your head that are telling you you can't do something. And head trash is usually what leads to imposter syndrome. So we're going to break these things down, and I'm going to teach you some tricks of how I deal with them. Okay, a big thing right now, and really, probably for the last 10 years, has been how social media can really hurt us emotionally when we see other people succeeding and showing off their success and we don't feel like we're doing as well. And I just want to stop there because social media, I know a lot of my friends have gotten off social media because it's been hurting them emotionally. And I want to say I love social media. I have been hurt by it and I still get hurt by it. But, it doesn't have to be something that is painful. It can actually be really, really fun. I know for me, I can so quickly go from feeling great about what I'm doing in the past and what I'm doing now, and then completely be destroyed the next minute if I let myself go down that destructive path of comparison. And let me just tell you guys, everyone is putting their best face on for social media. So they are putting out their best self every day. And to judge yourself in a low moment against somebody's best is really not fair to yourself. Also, follower count does not mean anything. If we judge ourselves by follower count, which I still do, I freely have to admit that, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that that person's more successful and making more money than you. It doesn't mean that they're even booking more than you. It doesn't mean that they're more popular. I know it sounds like it should, but it doesn't. It just means that they have a higher number of followers than you, and that's it. But that number doesn't mean anything. It's so easy to compare ourselves with data like that and to feel like crap about ourselves. But I really want to challenge you guys to actually look at your lives. Look at what you are accomplishing because it might just be something amazing. So I posted a couple weeks ago, I don't know if anyone saw it, in Instagram. I might have done it in TikTok and not Instagram. But I posted a couple weeks ago about this epiphany that I had in the shower because I do a lot of thinking in the shower. And I was totally catching myself comparing my business to another photographer who has like 20,000 followers. And she's doing amazing things with her business. But she started only 5 years ago. And I started 16 years ago. So I started having this crazy guilt about not doing well in my business, even though the truth is that my business is doing great. I actually make a lot of money doing photography, and I'm really proud of that. And I teach other people how to do that. And just because she has more followers than me and is doing great in her business doesn't make me any less good. It doesn't mean that I'm not doing great. It just means that we both are. And so I started thinking about it. She has done a ton in her business because her kid has actually been in school, whereas mine have been home. And I realized that she has truly had more time to work on her business than I have. And that's what pushed her business farther than mine in some aspects. So I started to see the hope in that. I can do better. All I need is a babysitter or to get my kids actually going to school, which they are. They have been this last year, which has been awesome. So I started seeing how exciting it is for her to be successful and how I'm successful too. And I'm just doing it in my own time and on my own path. And that's okay. And that's what I really want for you to all grasp. I want you to celebrate other people's success and be excited for them because it's okay that they're successful. It's okay for you to not be doing the same thing as them because you are on your own path and doing things in your own time. It's so much easier to feel guilt because you're not as good as somebody else. But what if we just stopped feeling that way? And what if we looked at each situation and each person and we were just simply excited for them? Because, and here's the drum roll, because you guys, whatever they are doing, you can do it too. Isn't that so exciting? That's what makes it so much fun to root for other people and to cheer them on. It's because if they can do it, you can do it too. If I can move to a new state and start my business basically from scratch and be completely booked out in 2 months' time, you can do that too. You really can. You can take whatever situation you are in and turn it around. You can grow your business. You can be better at your job. And here's the thing, you can be free to be who you are and to do what you love. And that, you guys have to, I have to say this again. You can be free. Freedom is what we're going for here, right? You can be free to be who you are and to do what you love. Okay, let's go back to imposter syndrome. It seems to me that comparison is what leads to imposter syndrome in a lot of ways. Sometimes not, but in a lot of ways, that's what it is. And when we feel like we're not as good as someone else, we can really forget how good we are in our own right. And that's when imposter syndrome really can take over and we start showing up even though we don't feel like we have a right to be there. I've been a photographer for over 16 years now, and I know what I'm doing behind the camera, but it wasn't always that way. There was a time when I would show up and just do my best and shoot and whatever I could and just kind of hope that everything turned out. And I don't know if you're like that too, if you're having imposter syndrome, but I'm assuming that some of that comes from not knowing exactly what you're doing, not knowing how to make your images beautiful. I honestly would not know how to get the best lighting. I wouldn't know how to edit them well, and I was doing okay in business, but not great. And I knew I had to figure out how to make my images better, and I wanted to be able to know how to get the shot when I showed up, okay? I would go home and look at my images and start really critiquing them because that's what I learned how to do in college. I went to Brooks Institute of Photography. I have a film degree. I learned photography and filmmaking by critiquing everything that we did so that we would get better. I would rip apart an image so that I would learn how to make it better. And unfortunately, that is what led to a year or two of me ripping apart my own images and my self-esteem. I cannot even tell you guys, I suffered so much from imposter syndrome and showing up not knowing what I was really doing and that I wasn't good at photography and that I had to convince people that I was good at it. That was really hard. When you suffer from these bad negative thoughts and imposter syndrome, it's really hard to sell your photography. It's really hard to say, hey, I offer something great and I want you to enjoy it. That's hard. And that's why I'm talking about this today, is because in order to have the freedom to move forward in your business, you have to be confident in what you're doing. Okay, so I had all these thoughts And then I went to this business like marketing conference in Chicago. We try to go every year, me and my husband. It's like our husband and wife retreat, which sounds funny because it's a total conference for work. But I really love going because we get surrounded by these amazing business people and we learn marketing in a new way. And this was one of the first times that we went to this, and I heard a story. So I don't know if you've ever seen that like really old SNL skit with Bob Newhart, but basically he's a therapist and people pay him $1 a minute for his advice. So somebody goes in, tells a story, and he basically looks at them and says, okay, stop it. You owe me $1. And the whole thing is him basically saying, stop it, and that's his advice. So I weirdly kind of started applying that SNL skit to every bad thought and every piece of head trash that would enter my mind. And those head trashes, what were those pieces of like negative information, that head trash, that's what led to imposter syndrome. And so I would start applying that stop it mindset. And when I would think, you're not good enough, I would say, Kelly, just stop it. And that would be the end of it. So now obviously those thoughts and things didn't just go away by saying stop it, but it did shut them down in their path so I could move forward rather than questioning my skills behind the camera or whatever those negative thoughts were about. They wouldn't be lingering in my mind all day. They would just be in my mind, and then I would say stop it, and that would be the end. And that led to me being able to show up on set and at the location and be able to shoot and go for it. And I would have a positive mindset the whole time. I would actually be excited to look at my images afterwards because attitude, you guys, attitude is everything, right? But isn't attitude everything? Like if you have a good attitude and you're excited about it, doesn't it make it better for everyone? Okay, so after I went through this process of saying stop it to myself, I realized that I needed to go a little bit deeper. And I really started to analyze these thoughts so that I could break them down and prove to myself that they were either true or not true. Okay, so this is my big trick, so I want you guys to listen up. And if you're just joining us, we're talking about imposter syndrome, head trash, and how to deal with them so that you can push forward and have freedom. Okay, so this is the big trick. I really want to teach you guys this. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, listen up. Anytime I would have a negative thought, I would analyze it and ask if this is true. It would either be true, and I would know what problem I had, and I would have to find a solution to it and fix it, or it would not be true, and I would recognize what the truth was and celebrate it. Okay, this is my trick. This is how you can really stop these things from intruding into your life and taking over and making you feel awful about yourself. Okay, so for example, if I would come home and my images just really weren't doing it for me and I didn't love them and I kind of felt awful about the shoot, I would say, okay, what is true about these images? What was good and what could I celebrate? And once I celebrated, then I was able to really ask myself what could be improved, okay, but only after I celebrated. So maybe the lighting wasn't good, so I knew how to fix the lighting, or maybe I didn't use enough foreground and depth in the images, and that's okay. We could fix those things. Maybe I didn't have the best poses, or whatever it is, I could learn how to deal with those and I could fix them. Once you identify the problem, then you can find a solution. You can figure out how to post people, like them, create more depth, and you can do things that change your work into something magical. I also started creating systems for absolutely everything that I do. So this includes packing my camera bag. You guys, I've been doing this for 16 years, and yesterday on the way to my shoot, I had a headache, and so my husband stopped me, and he knows that my brain doesn't function on 100% when I have a headache. And so he stopped me and was like, do you have everything in your bag? And I was like, yep, I've got my cameras, I've got my lenses, I've got my cards, I've got my batteries, and I have my flashes. And it was that list of 5 things that I do every time, and I knew I was ready to go to the shoot. So this also goes to lists when I show up on a session. I have a list in my head that I go off of for the shots, like a shot list. So my family session list, you guys can get that in the Facebook group. If you join us there, you can just shoot me a message and I'll send that to you. But my branding session yesterday, I have this list that I go off of. So I know that for every setup I do, I need 5 shots: a wide vertical, a wide shot, a vertical wide shot, a headshot, a close-up, and an action shot. And if I do that with 10 different setups, then I have an entire session that's awesome. I also do the same thing for lighting. Absolutely every session, whether it's inside or outside, I have the same lighting setup, and that way I know when I'm shooting that the image is going to be edited consistent with my style, and it's going to look amazing, and my clients are going to love it. So I started to really make little tweaks to my process to make my work really consistent and beautiful. And get this, by knowing what I'm doing, I know when things are wrong and I can fix them. And having these lists, having these step-by-step things that I do, helps me to overcome the imposter syndrome because I no longer feel like a fake. I actually knew what I was doing, and I know what I'm doing when I show up to a shoot, and I'm able to nail every shot. And yes, sometimes I wouldn't do it as well as other times, I'll admit that. But then I learned how to edit, and I learned how to edit well. And so now I can fix bad lighting. So when I make a mistake, I know how to fix it, which really helps. It helps me know that I offer a lot of value to my clients, and I can sell that and be better at marketing because my confidence is higher. So whatever it is for you, you can fix it, forget it, or own it. Okay, so forget the things that aren't true that you keep hearing. That's just head trash. Throw it away and stop it. Hold on to the things that you can celebrate and throw out the stuff that isn't true and fix the things that need fixing. Head trash does not need to take over and create that imposter syndrome within you. You are on your own path. It's not the same as the person next to you. And it's okay when other people have wins because you will have wins too. And it's okay to celebrate your wins and support others when they have success. Imposter syndrome does not have to control you. And if you don't believe me, there's one more thing I want you to do. Get a fresh piece of paper out right now and write this down really big. I believe in myself. And I'm going to say that again. I believe in myself. I want you to look at that every single day because you will start believing it. And if that saying doesn't work for you, choose a different one. Ooh, better yet, choose a different one each time you have a negative thought and have proved to yourself it isn't true. Write down the truth, hang it where you're going to see it every day, and then don't take it down until you believe in that truth. I believe in you. I do. I believe in you. If you needed to hear that today, I'm going to say it one more time. I believe in you. Okay, so before we take any questions, I just want to remind you guys to keep following me here. We're going to try and do this every week with a focus on marketing for photographers. I'd also love to see you in that Facebook group, Profitable Photographer. You can also search for marketing for photographers and join us for more advice, techniques, ideas. I know this wasn't super about marketing, but it's really an emotional basis for your business. If you can get through this head trash and imposter syndrome, you can really do anything, and I truly believe that. So I will say I do love the format here in Clubhouse where we can actually talk together and work through issues to push each other to grow. So I'm so excited to be here with you guys. So on that note, I'm going to take questions. Does anyone have any questions? See, Stina, did you have any questions?
Yeah, actually. So, Kelly, I've heard you share a little bit about your story and why you moved. Would you say that dealing with the diagnosis has led to any head trash or imposter syndrome, specifically this last year?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yes and no. So for anyone who doesn't know, I was diagnosed with dysautonomia, which really has its limitations. And I actually do see it holding me back every week when I don't quite hit my goals. So I set goals for myself, and if I don't hit them, that can be really emotionally challenging. But kind of like I've been saying, we are each on our own path and doing things our own way in our own time. So whether it's chaos from little kids at home or a diagnosis that's slowing you down from reaching your goals, whatever it is that you're dealing with, you can succeed. So when I get really frustrated from my disease holding me back and slowing me down, I have to just sit there and remind myself that this is God's plan and that maybe slowing down is okay for the time being. But I definitely have times when that imposter syndrome comes in. But it's actually like a different type of imposter syndrome now. I'm actually not feeling like myself. And so it's really funny because I know that I can like go to the photo shoot and do the job well, but I also have to pretend to be myself again in order to get over the migraines and the pain that I'm feeling consistently. So it's not necessarily that I'm feeling like a fake. It's just that like I don't quite feel completely me. So, I mean, like, take today. I've had a migraine for this whole week, and yesterday I went to my branding session, and it was literally the best session I've ever shot in my entire life. And it's just so funny, like I'm doing this right now, and I'm in pain. And sometimes you just have to like work through things, and you have to do it. And I just like know what my limitations are. I spent the whole day on Wednesday in bed so that I could get up and do my session well on Thursday. And it kind of sucks that I don't have a choice, and so that's fine. So I think right now, like I could get really depressed about having to move and having to start things over and being limited on what I can do, or I can just accept what's real and what's happening and do the best that I can do with what I have. And so that's really what I'm doing. And that's really what any of us can do. Like that's all we can do. Just work with what we have, work through our situation and our emotions in our own time, and progress naturally. So this stuff does take time, but like you guys can succeed. And the more dedicated you are to dealing with your head trash and imposter syndrome as it comes up, the faster you will not only get over it, but get through it and find the success and the freedom that comes with dealing with the hard things. So thank you for that question. I know I have a lot of students and people in my life that actually have the same diagnosis or other things that have been holding them back. And it just, it sucks, but it's just your path, and that's okay.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing. And then how long, as people are trying to work through this and dealing with their own imposter syndrome and head trash, how long do you feel like it took you to really kind of get to the light at the end of the tunnel? And how long do you think like the average person is going to take to work through this?
Yeah, that's a great question too. I think it takes everyone their own amount of time. It took me a year of really focusing on exposing truths and like trashing those lies, and then learning how to fix my issues before I really felt confident behind the camera, and I stopped having that imposter syndrome. Head trash is another thing. Head trash is a constant battle. Because I'm human, I expect it will always be a battle, but I know how to deal with it, so I'm okay because I know I can win the battle. Or I can just take a day to be depressed and then get over it and stop it, which happens sometimes. But yeah, so I think for me it was a year of hard work, really working on this and using these techniques that I just went through. I would expect that would be similar for everyone else. But it does depend on who you are and how focused you are on getting through the hard stuff. Okay, so
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for asking. Is there anyone else that has a question? Okay, so if not, I'm going to just say thank you for joining me here today. And just remember, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Kelly and Jordan Photography. And don't forget to join our Facebook group, The Profitable Photographer. You can also search for Marketing for Photographers to find the group. Thank you, and I will see you guys again next week.